Update. My 24 female friend, 24 female, wants me to believe that my fiancé, 28 male, violated her. Original story. I'm out of town for the weekend. Had to go babysit for my sister. My friend knows this and still decided to go to my apartment because she was too drunk to make it to her place. She knew I wouldn't be there. Heard my fiancé barely even talk. They never hang out unless I'm there. But supposedly, she still went without even telling me. My fiancé messaged me right away that she was there and that he didn't know what to do. I told him to let her stay in our guest bedroom. She went to bed and my fiancé and I FaceTimed until super late. My friend didn't tell me that she was there until this morning. She calls me saying that she went to stay at my place last night, but had to leave super early this morning after my fiancé violated her. She swears it happened. After talking to him, I feel like it's possible that it didn't happen. I don't want to dismiss my friend's feelings, but I've also known my fiancé for over 10 years and know he's a good guy. I've known this friend for a year and I don't think she's a bad person either. My friend said she won't press charges, but just wants me to know what he did. I don't know what to believe. Of course, this all happens 2 months from our wedding. How should I handle this? How do I know who's lying? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Isn't it super fishy the fact that she went to your place even though she knew you weren't there? Why would she go there if she doesn't even talk to your boyfriend? Was she out drinking by herself? It just doesn't make any sense to me. That part where she won't press any charges but she wants you to know sounds more like, I just want you to break up with him based solely on what I'm telling you. That's how I felt too. If the man I'm about to marry is like that, then please help me put him in jail. I still don't get why she went to our place either. Tell her to get a kit test done. Her response will help you gauge whether it's BS, because sounds like it is. Offer your support to go with her to the hospital to get a kit. Ask what she needs from your apartment to prove this happened, because obviously he should go to jail if he's really that person, right? I would take your fiancé's word on this, to be honest. Not a bad idea. I'm back in town this afternoon. Maybe I'll tell her I can take her to the hospital as soon as I'm back. I really want to take my fiancé's word on this too, but I don't want to just assume that she's lying either. Most likely scenario, your boyfriend was not interested in her advances and fabricated a story to get you to break up. Nothing happened, except her being drunkenly half-dressed in the hallway. The fact your friend knew you were not there but showed up without contacting you makes her suspicious, and she's the one that set up your boyfriend to be the bad guy. I really can't understand why she didn't let me know until this morning. She was with it enough to remember my address, but not to call me? That's so weird to me. And now for the update. Hey guys, here's the update. Finally. So long story short, my friend made it all up. My plan was to go to her place once I'd come back in town. I tried to get her to go get a test kit done. Unfortunately, I was stuck at my sister's with her kids. So my fiancé decided to go to her place without telling me and got the truth out her. He recorded their conversation, thankfully. She admitted that she lied, and I also found out that she was the one trying to kiss him multiple times that night, before he finally told her to go to bed or he'd kick her out. He told her we have a camera in our hallway, and we'll be taking it to the cops to sue her if she doesn't tell me the truth. She messaged me after their conversation, and instead of just admitting what she did, she tried to blame me, saying that these past few months all I've been talking about is the wedding. It is like I don't have time for her anymore. That her lying about this was the only way for her to get my attention. I tried to call her after that, and she wouldn't answer my phone calls. I even went to her place after I got back in town, and she wouldn't open the door. So needless to say, she will not be a part of my wedding. I've never had a lot of friends, and now I'm wondering what's even the point if all they bring is trouble. Anyway, thank you so much for your ideas and advice. You guys are the best. She wasn't your friend. Friends don't do that to each other. Don't let this experience stop you from having friends in the future. Not everyone is off the rocker. It just sucks that you don't know how messed up people are until they show their real colors. I would have never thought she would have done something like this. I thought she was an amazing person. In the words of my estranged sister, that's what you get for thinking. Glad it all worked out for you. She sounds incredibly messed up. Thank God her lies didn't do the damage she obviously wanted them to. Yes, I'm so thankful he was able to snap her out of her lies. Now we have that recording, and the text she sent me admitting she did lie, just in case she tries to lie about it again. Being accused of this sort of offense is the worst fear of many men. What a psycho. I know. I feel bad that I put him in this situation. I should have let him give her a ride home when he insisted on doing so. Facts. I had some female friends telling me to go to parties, and I absolutely refused for fear of being near people that are intoxicated, because I'm terrified that one day someone will try and ruin my life with an accusation like this. Next story. I, 29 male, can't seem to forgive my sister, 26 female, after she completely bailed on me when I was on the brink of being homeless. My sister from a young age has had only one person to rely on, and that person was me. We come from a broken family, with one parent that was only around till I was 5 and the other who was stuck in a cycle of addiction. Because of our situation, I grew up very quickly and shielded her from things as much as I could. She obviously was aware of what was going on, but she was not in the crosshairs. I started with stealing from our mother to make sure we had food and bills were paid. I got a part-time job at 13 because we couldn't rely on our mother. And when I graduated high school, I immediately got 2 jobs and we moved out. I had to push my sister through high school. She wasn't an easy teen for obvious reasons, on top of going month to month trying to get as much money together to pay our bills. Then at 19, she finally graduated after being held back a year. She changed her tune a lot and she started working as well and had her own place when she was 21. I finally got a shot to do something for myself and got a degree. As a result, I got a much better job. But unfortunately, that was right before the pandemic hit. So I pretty much went from hired to fired as I was a new hire. Now, the reason I'm saying all that is not to pat myself on the back, but to stress why my reaction is the way it is. I was out of work, on the brink of losing my apartment. It only had one person who I expected I could turn to. My sister. She was recently married, still lives obviously, with her husband. So I asked if I could stay a few weeks, at most a few months until I got a new job. It was a no. I was taken aback, but it remained to be a no. A week or 2 later, I was kicked out of my apartment. So I asked again and it was a no. At this point, I'm homeless. And the only reason I didn't end up sleeping on the damn streets was because I could crash with a few friends until I got a temporary job. I rented a room with a bunch of roommates for a while. Eventually got a job in my field again and am now doing fine. That said, I have not spoken to my sister since. She has called, messaged, banged on my door, sent crying voice messages, apologized dozens of times, tried to explain herself, tried going to my job, tried going to friends. Everything. I haven't said a word to her, and it's been over a year now. She recently had a child and she is still desperately trying to reach out. She claims her husband refused to let me stay. He even reached out several times to beg me to reach out. But to me, the one time I needed her, she basically tells me to F myself. And I feel like it was the last push I needed to just end that chapter of my life. I feel bad, but just not bad enough, I guess. Even my friends and my girlfriend are on my case that I should forgive her. And that they understood it at first, but now think I'm being an a-hole. What would you guys do? Now for the top advice. Tell your friends and girlfriend that only you get to decide when you're ready to talk to your sister. That is not their place nor their business to try to force you into an interaction that you aren't emotionally ready for. And if they care about you at all, they will shut the hell up and let you do things when you are ready to do them. And send your sister one message telling her that you aren't closing the door on ever having a relationship with her, but you need her to back off and give you the time and space to work through your feelings of betrayal. That you will reach out to her when, and if, you are ready to, and not a minute before. And the more she pushes, the less you want to be around her. Then get into counseling to work through your feelings. Decide how much of a relationship with her you can handle emotionally, and then proceed from there. If your girlfriend and friends keep pushing, then they are only doing so for their own selfish purposes rather than out of concern for you, and you need to shut them down hard. This is a good advice. Some skeptical part of me is wondering why the sister wants Opie back in her life now that she has a baby. Babysitting? Defraying baby expenses? Wanting Opie to play the happy, generous uncle? If it was real guilt, she would have reached out earlier. And it seems like sister only reached out once Opie was back on his feet. Edited to add, it could be that all of Opie's sacrifices have led to her growing up to be very self-centered, because all along she's never had to think of someone else. Your friends and girlfriend need to back off when this isn't their situation. You decide what you want to do here. They have zero say in the matter. I completely get your anger. You, at your lowest point, needed help after spending your entire life helping her up. And she said, nah, that inconveniences me. I'd be upset too. The hardest part would be trusting her again, because she's already shown she isn't trustworthy. His friends and girlfriend have no idea what it's like to grow up hard like that. The betrayal is like a knife in the heart. Since the last question is, what would you do? It's easy. I would not reach out. I'm someone who will do pretty much anything for friends and family. But as soon as I'm done with someone, I'm done. There's no going back. Ever. Sure, sometimes I miss some people that were in my life, but never enough to get back on that decision. Last story. My husband wanted me to promise him to never date anyone if he passes. I, female 36, have been married to my husband Thomas, male 34, for 6 years. He has a chronic heart condition that made him suffer for years. We have 2 kids together and he adores them, but couldn't be with them all the time or do normal activities together due to his condition. I work to be able to pay for rent/expenses and medical bills, which are the hardest. It's been like this for years. Thomas's health is greatly declining, and we recently were able to get him a device to improve his heart function, but it's not a long-term solution. Lately, Thomas has been asking me or the kids to sleep in bed with him. Before that, he used to sleep alone for medical reasons, including using catheter and having medical devices in his hand and chest. He was at a hospital for 2 weeks and said he missed me and the kids, although I was with him often. Last night, he was talking to me about what the kids told him they wanted to become when they grow up. He took his time to talk because this was a highly emotional moment for him. He kept telling me he knew he wasn't going to witness how our kids will turn out and what they become when they grow up. He said he'd be lucky if he could attend their next birthday, which I admit could be an exaggeration on his part. But I let him vent about what's been bothering him and try not to interrupt him. He then started talking about us, asking me what I would do if he passed away. Those questions I couldn't find an easy answer for, but he proceeded to ask if I was going to start over with someone new. He pulled my face close to his and said he wanted me to promise him to never date anyone after him, no matter what. I don't know why, but I froze in my place. He kept looking at me, telling me to promise him in front of our kids. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel hesitant. I had a very odd feeling, and something told me to not do it, especially not when he decided to get the kids involved. I pulled away and assured him he's the love of my life and everything I care about, as well as our children. He got upset, saying I was avoiding his request, and said he didn't expect me to even hesitate, let alone refuse to promise. I calmly explained how heavy his words were, but he said I probably had no problem seeing and dating someone. It might as well get the kids a new dad. I swore I'd never force my kids to call someone else dad, and he flat out called me a liar to my face. This made me speechless. He loudly told me to get out of the room. I tried to get him to calm down, but he started yelling at me to stop talking to him, after I made it clear he didn't mean that much to me. Then he told me to understand something, which is that he's going to make the kids promise him that if I ever meet someone new, then they should cut me out of their lives and stay with his family. I was in a shock. I called him unreasonable for thinking this was an acceptable thing to do to our kids. He said I should be happy I will no longer be held back by the kids, and that they live with their grandparents and aunts, not some guy I get married to. He kept insulting me till I broke down crying. He asked me to leave the room and threatened to pull his cannula if I stayed. I immediately walked out because I didn't want to get himself hurt over an argument. I understand he was just feeling scared and worried, but I think he was being unfair towards me with how he spoke to me. I felt so bad to the point where I wished I said yes to his promise if I knew he'd react this way. Everyone keeps telling me to have some grace and be patient because Thomas is dealing with so much right now, but they keep forgetting that I'm struggling too. I barely eat and basically have no appetite. I handle everything and have no room to vent, and yet I'm somehow at fault for how he acted? Frankly, I have no idea why I didn't promise him what he wanted and feel like he was being too harsh on me. Even the family say no matter what he does, I should just grin and bear. But I'm not sure if I can take it anymore. This reminds me of another Reddit post where a dying woman had gifted her daughter a journal. And in the journal, she had badmouthed any future woman the dad might marry after her death. The poster kept the journal a secret, but those words poisoned her relationship with both her father and later her father's eventual wife. The father had no idea. It was a tremendously sad story. That little girl never, ever should have been subjected to the depressed, scared thoughts of a dying woman. That's what I thought when you said your kids were present when your husband tried to make your promise in front of them. Poisoning the future, because they'll remember this. You need help. Well, he needs help too, but let's start with you. You need someone to help work through this, because what he's doing is sabotaging your future with your kids, and that is not okay. Remember that you matter too, OP, and what you need matters. Terminally ill people undergo personality changes sometimes. People do and say all kinds of weird things when they're grieving and panicking. I don't expect him to be an angel who tells you to find love and happiness after his death, though some terminally ill people do. However, going so far as to try to make you promise, doing it in front of your kids, and threatening to emotionally blackmail you via your children is off the map. You and your children should be in therapy, as a group and perhaps individually. This is very hard, and you should have disinterested support from someone. OP, you need to do several things. 1. Right away sit your kids down and explain to them that daddy loves them, but is very sick, and that is making him say things he doesn't mean. It's hurtful, but they should be nice to him and not take the things he says too seriously. Above all, they should understand that promises made to someone who isn't in their right mind don't count, because he will try to get them to promise him things. 2. Talk to his doctor and see if there's any medical reason he might be cognitively affected. 3. Keep the kids away from him except when you're there, so that you can head off these kids of toxic conversations. 4. Therapy for everybody. That's very manipulative, and in no way should you even consider what he's saying. He needs straight-up help. His request is one thing. He needs reassurance that he's your one true love or whatever. I guess I get that, but it's a request and not one you should be guilted into obliging. No, the moment he chose to berate you and put your kids against you is absolutely messed up. I honestly wouldn't stand for it if I were you. I don't care how terminal his condition is. That doesn't give him a free pass to be a callous, manipulative a-hole. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad's brother to walk me down the aisle instead of my dad? I, 28 female, am getting married in the winter. Me and my dad were very close when I was growing up. When I was aged 16, my parents divorced after 20 years of marriage. Now, I don't blame him for this, and from the information I have, I can confidently say it's my mom's fault they divorced. However, after the divorce, he completely ignored all 6 of his children. He didn't make any effort to keep in contact with any of us, and the last time we heard or spoke to him was the night of the separation. For the next 8 years, I was the main earner for my family and was more like a parent to my siblings. During this time, I didn't keep in contact with anybody from my dad's side of the family. I had the phone numbers of a couple of my aunties/cousins, but didn't really speak to them apart from the yearly birthday or Christmas message. I only really saw one cousin of mine regularly, and that was the cousin who was my 19 male brother's best friend growing up. We'll call him Rob. Around about 5 years ago, I had a big falling out with my mother in which I left the house. At this time, I asked Rob for his mother's number so I could ask her to get in touch with my father for me. She gets her husband, my uncle, to ask his brother if I can move in with him, and my dad agrees to let me stay with him, even though I hadn't spoken to him in 7 years at the time. Later on, when I arrived at his home, tells me I can't stay at his and to go stay at a hotel or something. I call my uncle crying, and he says I can come stay with them instead. It seems as though my dad had agreed when his brother had confronted him, but changed his mind when he had gone home to speak to his wife. For the next 2 years, I lived at my uncle's house, and I consider his kids to be more like siblings now. My dad's siblings and cousins from that side of the family always meet up for gatherings multiple times a year, but I don't really communicate with my dad other than saying hello and goodbye at these gatherings. My uncle was there for me when even my own dad wasn't, and his family accepted me as their own, even though I'd barely spoken to them for 8 years at the time. My dad will be invited to the wedding, but I have asked my uncle to walk me down the aisle instead. He is happy I ask him, but is unsure if he wants to accept because he doesn't want to disrespect his older brother and walk his own daughter down the aisle in front of him. I feel as though my dad doesn't deserve to walk me down the aisle as he didn't have the backbone to stand up to his own wife over his daughter. My uncle even told me he tried to justify himself to his siblings by saying, "They didn't try to keep in touch with me, so why should I look after her?" I'm not being funny, but as being a 16 female at the time and I was the oldest child as well, it wasn't my responsibility to. It was his. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad's brother to walk me down the aisle instead of him in front of him? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You aren't entitled to walk a daughter down the aisle that you abandoned twice. Not Dahal, but your uncle is also allowed to say no. The rift between him and his brother may not be worth it. Plus, he could be worried that it could cause unnecessary drama on your wedding day and ruin your wedding. Which it very well might. Honestly, at this point, I'd be walking down the aisle by myself if I were you. Not Dahal. Your dad hasn't been in your life. You're asking someone who has. It's likely your dad will be hurt by this. If you chose to, you could explain the situation in a letter to him, and if you chose, open up the idea of trying to restore the relationship. But perhaps he needs some consequence. Not Dahal. You can tell your uncle that there's no reality where his older brother will be walking you down the aisle. It's either he walks you or you walk alone. He gets to decide that it will cause him too much grief. But if you make it clear that there is no possibility that you will walk with your bio dad, you are definitely not Dahal here. You took care of your siblings and cousins when your father wasn't around. You even tried to get in contact with him. I don't think he deserves to walk you down the aisle. It should be who you want, who respects you and you could trust. Best wishes for your marriage. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for uninviting one of my best friends to my wedding? Early last year, one of my college best friends told me that she was getting engaged before she told anyone else knew because she wanted to hire my mom as her wedding planner. A couple of days later, she got engaged and told all of our friends that my mom, a professional wedding planner, would plan her wedding. All good until that point. After a couple of meetings with my mom, Lucy stopped responding to my mom. And I noticed by WhatsApp group that she hired all my mom's vendors directly without even telling us. She chose June 2021 as her wedding date. I let that one go because I didn't want to ruin her wedding. Last November, I also got engaged and chose September 2021 as my wedding date to give our friends some time between the two weddings, especially because mine is out of town. Later on, I found out again by a group that she had postponed her wedding to the day after mine. Of course, I was furious, and I had no problem letting her know that time. She finally contacted me and explained that she had no money for the wedding in June, and the day after my wedding was the only available date this whole year in her venue. Again, that's what my mom showed to her, without a contract just because she was my friend. To be honest, I don't buy it. But now I'm the a-hole in our friends group because I uninvited her and was rude to her, and it was not her fault because she has no job. I still feel like she's not the kind of person you call your friend, and does not give me the energy I want to have in my wedding day. Am I the a-hole for this? Not the a-hole. Your mom took the time to plan everything for her. As it's her job, then she just contacted the vendors behind her back. That's already rude. Also, what was she trying to accomplish by moving the date? Reusing your decorations? Having people come to your wedding and just stay one day longer so she doesn't have to cover any costs for guests? I don't get it. Yep. And then she can steal all the designs Opie's mom does for daughter's wedding. Reminder that Opie's wedding is out of town and not at the same venue as former best friend. If anything, this was a ploy to make the friends choose between which wedding they want to attend. And if they wanted to attend both, they'd have to not have too much fun at Opie's wedding. Traveling while hungover surely sucks. And ultimately have to likely leave Opie's wedding early to be able to travel back in time for friend's wedding. But if she had no money for June, how she's going to come up with money just 3 months later? Not a a-hole. That's what I was wondering. Vendors and venues are expensive and she has no job. Not sure what miracle she is expecting they're going to want to be paid. She is planning a wedding she can't afford. Your friend was already the a-hole when she used your mom's services and then went behind her back. Not the a-hole. I'd explained that to your friend group. Not the a-hole. Lucy is clearly a leech in this situation from what you've said. I would do everything possible to either immediately distance yourself or do it over time so it's one of those sadly we grew apart things. I'm not sure how many vendors/locations/services overlap, but I would call yours and tell them a bit about the situation. As someone suggested, she might try to mooch off you and tell the vendors you said it was okay to reuse certain items or ask for a discount because they'd already there. You can tell the people you hired that someone you thought was a friend changed their original wedding date to the day after yours, and you do not give permission for anything specifically for your wedding to be reused for theirs. The beauty of that is, you don't even have to say names. If she used the same people and were booked from June to September, they'll know instantly who it was. Or even if she decides to hire them now, that date and any money-saving request will raise red flags and help them avoid her if they want. I could be reading/imagining this wrong, but I think Lucy might be diva bridezilla, and no one wants to deal with that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting upset that something I had originally said is okay regarding my wedding? Hello. I was supposed to get married last year, but due to the obvious issue, it had to be cancelled and we moved it to this year. Finally, my area is doing well in terms of the virus. The cases are lower every day, the vaccination process is going well, and the regulations are relaxed, and everything is almost back to normal. I'm getting married in a month, and I couldn't be happier. I have a no-kids wedding, and I had notified everyone that it's a no-kids wedding, so they could tell me whether they'll be able to attend or not. I said it's fine if you can't find a babysitter for the day, and I won't judge if you can't afford to have a sitter or you can't find one and you won't be able to attend. I just said I'd like to be notified at least 2 weeks prior to the wedding, because that's when I'm gonna give the list of the guests to the venue. 4 of my friends and a cousin of mine called me earlier this week to tell me they won't be able to attend because they can't find or afford a babysitter. They wished me well on the wedding. I got very upset. They knew for an entire year that I was planning a no-kids wedding, and they couldn't figure something out, which tells me they don't actually care about me. The phone calls of the 4 friends were separate and happened in the span of 2 days, yet my cousin actually visited me to give me the wedding gift and tell me she won't be able to attend. My cousin was the last one to tell me, and I went off. I told her how I feel like my wedding is not important to them if they can't figure out how to leave their kids alone for 1 day. My cousin then said how I'm being unfair, because I had previously said it's fine if we can't attend because of the kids for whatever reason, and then I said that I'm being notified last minute. And she pulled the argument that they notified way before the 2 weeks notice before the wedding, and that they notified more than a month before it. I told my cousin to leave my house because I needed to think. I called my mom to ask for advice and also consulted my fiancé, but they both told me that I'm overreacting because the girls met my wishes and notified 1 month prior, and how I was the one that said it's not a problem if you can't attend because of the kids. I said I felt it was unfair that they'd put their kids above my wedding when it was just for 1 night. And my mom scolded me and said I'm being too entitled for expecting people to put their kids' needs or their financial issues aside because I'm getting married. And that my wedding might be the most important thing to me, but it's not the most important thing to everyone else. And if someone has to attend 10 weddings a year, it's natural they won't be able to meet the needs of every single one. So, am I the a-hole for getting upset at something I previously said I wouldn't mind? You are the a-hole because of this attitude. I said I felt it was unfair that they'd put their kids above my wedding. If there is someone out there that doesn't put their kids over your wedding, or any wedding, then they are crappy parents. I understand why you want a kid-free wedding, and that is your right. The other side of that coin is that some people with kids won't come to the wedding for lots of reasons involving their kids. That is their right. You ask for a notice, and they were polite enough to give it to you. That line takes her from a-hole to bridezilla. Why not both? You're the a-hole. You said it was okay and gave them a deadline, and now you went back on that. Childcare is hard to keep, and often people won't know for sure if they have it until a week or 2 before an event. You've given no reason why you aren't the a-hole here, and every reason that you are. But it's her wedding. How could they not drop everything to be there on her day? You're the a-hole. You gave a deadline. They followed it. An invitation is an invitation, not a summon. With the pandemic, people's lives have changed, particularly financially. And it's been really tough on kids. It might be harder to find a babysitter because of other people's lives changing. Maybe they are not comfortable going to a big wedding due to COVID, and are just trying to say it's because of a babysitter because you had said that initially. Also, maybe you're just a bridezilla in general, and they're using this because they don't want to go. That last reason. Why do I get the feeling that's likely the real reason? You're the a-hole. Don't plan a no-kids wedding and then throw a tantrum because people with kids can't attend. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I want nothing to do with his secret second family? My 19 female dad, 50 male, has been having a long-term affair with a woman for over a decade. Their relationship began while he was married to my mom, and he stayed with her even while he dated and was engaged to a different woman after my parents' divorce. I don't think his latest ex ever knew about her, but I'm not sure. She has a kid, although it isn't his, which I do believe. I knew about his affair long ago, and after a big fight, basically said I never want to hear about her again or have anything to do with it, and then I'd be fine. This went okay for a decent amount of time. He would go on work trips and all, but I never asked questions and he never shared. And I was honestly fine being in the dark about it. I never approved, and he knew this, but I let him live his life so long as I was never brought into it. He tells me today he has invited them out to visit. I still live at home right now, and would love for me to be polite while they're here. I told him absolutely not, that I would go to a friend's house for the duration of their visit, but I would not be seeing them at all. That woman caused a lot of traumas during my childhood and aided in my parents' divorce, and I don't condone women who knowingly be the other woman. I never want to see her, and I made that clear. I said he can live his life as he wants, but I will not be dragged into that. He was pissed, went off on me saying it's his life, and I'm the child here, so his day is what goes. He ended by saying to lose his number, and honestly, that would be fine with me if he would throw away his actual child for this other family. I wanted nothing to do with that. Am I the a-hole for telling him a hard pass and playing happy family with his affair family? Not the a-hole. You do not have to let this man have his cake and eat it too. It's about time there's consequences for his selfish choices. Did he actually say lose his number? Wow. He is so callous and selfish to easily discard his family as well. Cheats, then discards Opie. Yeah, Opie's father is a huge a-hole. I had narcissistic parents growing up and it was awful. Not the a-hole, Opie. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Not the a-hole. I know he's your father, but honestly, do you really want this person in your life? This. I don't get why the other woman is persona non grata, but you're okay with dad. He's the one who broke marriage vows. I'm by no means okay with what my dad has done and is actively doing. He is my dad, and sadly that complicates things, and I didn't want to lose my remaining parent if I could help it. We have a very rocky relationship. That is at the forefront. As for the woman, I do blame her as well. She was a family friend and knew my dad was married and had kids when they got together. She caused a lot of issues during my parents' marriage, with sending taunting messages to my mom, which caused arguments that I ended up in the middle of as a child. My dad was the married man, but she wasn't an innocent that was kept in the dark about the situation. I guess it's just easier to be totally no contact with her since I have no emotional connection to her at all, whereas it's harder with my dad because he and I do have that. Wow, your father is the massive a-hole, not you. I'm 100% with you. That's awful. I wouldn't want to see her either. Ever. She destroyed your childhood, and your father is appalling too, and you have tried and been very reasonable overall, ignoring his work trips, etc. But this is too much. But it's his home, and yep, his life, so you have few options. I'd find a way to move out, away from your father. It's disgraceful. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she could hold her grandchild at my funeral? So, I, 28 female, cannot have kids without death or serious injury and passionately do not want them. Nor does my husband. And no, before anyone assumes we're kid-hating monsters, we don't dislike kids. We have a combined total of 8 nieces and nephews, all of whom we love dearly. They just can't live in our house. My mother, bless her heart, is currently infected with baby rabies. Her friends keep getting grandkids, and the best I'm willing to do is dogs. Yesterday, I was talking on the phone with my mom, and she casually brings up how nice it would be to have a baby around. Now, I have a policy for people trying to pry about my reproductive affairs, and that policy is to make them as unfreaking comfortable as I can so they never ask again. My mom has never been on the receiving end, but she has seen me do it. The first time I'm like, nah, too much work, and they don't even get cute for like 3 years. Puppies are born cute and stay cute. But she kept pressing things like, dogs won't love you like kids do, and here's where I may be the a-hole. I snapped and said, well, if you want a baby that bad, I can make sure to put it in my will that you can hold it through my funeral. My mom just made a noise like a mouse being stepped on and hung up on me. She now is refusing to answer any of my text messages about anything. I might have overreacted, just a little, and she's my mom. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Yes, my mom knows about the health conditions. I was born with them, and they've worsened over time. I'm very transparent about not being able to have / not wanting kids, but I do love the kids in my life. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You tried handling this with tact. Your mother pursued the topic and you told her exactly what would happen should you decide to ever have children. You would die. I don't see what she has to complain about when there are 8 other children running around. Why does she need a baby from you? I'm her only biological kid. She won't feel like a grandma till I pop one out apparently. Wow, that is very cold. Do your siblings know the stance that your mother has taken regarding biological grandchildren? No, my mom dotes on my siblings' kids. She adores them, really. Part of the 8 total are on my husband's side. And I have 2 half-siblings I didn't meet until I was 23, and they have kids. I'm on the same boat as you, so I'm going with a firm not the a-hole. What is it with people not respecting someone's choice and not having kids? Just because we are made to reproduce does not mean we should have to. The thing I hate most about people who don't accept the no are those who say, oh, you were young. Wait for your biological clock to kick. As if saying, okay, Barb, whatever you say. I'm going with not the a-hole on this. Yes, it was over the top, but I salute your willingness to commit to something like that. She's your mom, and she's seen you deal with this in the past. So I don't get how / why she would think it would go any other way. And why she'd twist a knife into you for something that more than likely hurts like hell when you learned it. It hurt a lot initially. I was devastated. Because in the area where I live, people usually start having kids pretty young, and everything has to be kid-friendly. But about the time nephew started coming, I realized that I really disliked taking care of babies. And by the time I got to college, I discovered how much fun it is to be the cool wine aunt. But every so often, it still hurts, especially when my mom presses the issue. Edit. So, my mom did message me back and apologized. She'd also like us to come around 12 p.m. to tidy up the yard, and she's going to pay us with lunch and beer. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not getting to know my nephew and niece and not wanting to bring them into my home? I, 27 female, have an older sister, 28 female. We're 18 months apart in age. I have a 2-year-old son, she has a 5-year-old son, and a 3-year-old daughter. I have never met her kids. My sister and I never got along, and I'll be honest that I don't know why it started. Petty stuff more than likely, but I'll always remember that my sister wished I had never been born. She told me multiple times. She told my friends too. Our parents really hated it, and I remember all the times she would talk to us about not having to be best friends, but we should be respectful and not mean. We went to therapy, individually and together. They tried to get our cousins to help things, not by forcing time together, but by trying to encourage less hostility. When I graduated high school, she didn't show up, and she got a lot of crap for it. And then when she showed up at our cousin's graduation a week later, in a different city, she made her feelings very clear. That I should not have sent our family after her. I didn't, but she blamed me. And that if she hadn't been clear before that she never wanted me for her sister, she wished I had never been born, and everyone would have been better off without me around. Ask her what I ever did. She told me she didn't have to tell me anything and to leave her alone. So I did, and I have. She refused to bring her kids around me. She would give ultimatums to family. Either invite her and exclude me or invite us both, but she would not be there. She had a fit at our grandmother's 70th birthday because Grandma wanted her to come anyway. And she showed up and wouldn't bring her son in, who was a baby at the time, because I was there. It seems now she has calmed a little. Our parents babysit for her, and they have shown me texts where she told them it was okay to have me around them. They ask, but I said no. I said no for 2 reasons. I know that she would stop that access at any time, for any reason, and I could do nothing about it. And I'm worried if she did that, it would hurt my son as he gets older and if he got to bond with him. I should also point out she had a very nasty response when my parents tried getting her to meet him. My parents don't get my refusal. They told me I should jump at the chance. Then a week ago, they asked me to watch the kids for 2 hours for them. I said no. I said I didn't feel comfortable with that. My parents tore me to pieces for not doing more to have a relationship with my niece and nephew, and that I should be ashamed. I am having some guilt about my decision. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You are under no obligations to rebuild bridges other people burned. Yeah, some people like walking with a can of gasoline spilling behind them and let's match in their other hand. You do not need to put time and resources rebuilding the bridge when they will just burn it back down again. Not the a-hole. She has hurt you repeatedly in the past and damaged your relationship. It's entirely your choice whether you want to try repairing it or not. But honestly, given that she hasn't even offered an apology, it doesn't seem that it would be worth it. And your parents should stay out of it since you're a grown adult and can handle relationships yourself. She doesn't want to repair her relationship with me. She's just open to me meeting her kids. That is what partly worries me more. Would she use her kids to hurt me more? Probably. It's possible she just wants a free babysitter. Not the a-hole. Your sister is a toxic and manipulative woman. Parents as well, in my opinion, by continually trying to force Opie to just get over it and pushing boundaries. This isn't run-of-the-mill sibling bickering. I'd bet Opie's sister would be livid if she found out Opie's mom tried to get her to babysit those kids alone. Like, it's great they got them into therapy, but they're nearing 30 now. And as inconvenient as it is for the rest of the family to have to deal with their unwillingness to even be under the same roof as each other, they need to stop trying to force it. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to share baby stuff with my stepsister because we're never going to know each other as sisters? Title sounds bad. My stepsister and I have been in each other's lives since we were 2, me and her 3. For the first decade, we primarily live with each other in the household with our married parents. She saw her mom on occasion, but in general lived with me, mom, and stepdad. The times she was with her mom were pretty terrible because she would come back adamant to reject and hurt me. One time, she told me she hoped I would die, so her dad would let her live with her mom. My stepdad had her in therapy. Most of our time together was spent with some form of supervision because of how she treated me. When she was 15 then, she decided to go live with her mom and cut me off, even going to the length of ignoring me in school and acting like I didn't exist. When she was 19, she started speaking to my stepdad and mom again, and over time, me. But she never really stopped being passive-aggressive about us not being related. She would say I was her dad's stepkid, or say I was someone she knew through family when talking to other people. I admit it was hard because we could have been sisters, but she didn't want that or was taught not to want it. As luck would have it, we're now both pregnant at the same time. She's due about 3 weeks after me, and she's been trying to be all buddy-buddy while also saying things like, they're never going to know each other as cousins, and it's not like we're real sisters. So I think she's mostly trying to get free stuff. I ended up with a surplus of clothes because my partner has a huge family, and they all gave us a ton of newborn clothes. My stepdad was helping me box stuff up, and he mentioned it to my stepsister who wanted them. I said no. She said it was witchy for me to say no when I had too many to use. I told her I had already promised some to a friend, which was true. She told me family trumps friends. I said, we're never going to know each other as sisters, so we're not really family. And she laughed, but then told my stepdad what I said. He told me the fact she was asking said she was maybe ready to move forward. I told him it's not true. But am I wrong? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Don't give her a thing. She's being manipulative. Yep. She can't treat you like crap for so long and then try to be all let's be friends. That's dumb. Don't give her the baby's clothes. Find a way to make it clear to your stepdad that she just wants stuff from you and tell him about her previous comments. Not the a-hole. Exactly. If she really wanted to be family and put her past behind her, she would first apologize, then try to build a relationship without trying to get free stuff from you to prove she's sincere. She's only after your stuff. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She's clearly trying to play you and your stepdad off against each other. This is a sad situation. It's obvious that her mother has been teaching her to hate you all her life, probably to get back at your stepdad for leaving, and now your stepsister is an adult. She either hasn't figured this out or can't be bothered to do anything about it. But that's not your issue. Regardless of the cause, she's a deeply toxic person for you to be around, and you're fully justified in limiting your contact with her as much as possible. Hopefully, she'll realize what's going on here and what it's costing her and do the work to deal with her toxicity. I wouldn't count on it though. Not the a-hole. She isn't ready to move on. She's ready to get free handouts. Exactly. Not the a-hole. You are perfectly entitled to enforce the boundaries she created and also give your things to people of your choosing. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my grandparents that they need to F off and stop asking when they're getting great-grandchildren? My 17 female grandparents on my dad's side are obsessed with the idea of having great-grandchildren. They generally ask and do a lot of things that make me uncomfortable, like asking about very personal things and constantly overstepping boundaries. I have two sisters, a younger one, 15, and an older one, 19. My dad cut contact with his parents when I was around 7 or 8, but after him and my mother divorced, he started talking to them again. My older sister invited them to her 19th birthday last year, and that was the first time we saw them in 8 years or so. My grandpa's a speech type of guy, or whatever you'd call it, so he wrote a speech to her. He included a joke in the speech that was something along the lines of, "Oh, and your grandma and I better get some great-grandkids before we expire." I'm not even sure if she wants kids or not. Not that it's even any of my business, but I remember how uncomfortable she looked after my grandpa told that joke. Every time we've seen them since my sister's birthday, they've made some comments or conversation about great-grandkids. My sister doesn't like confrontation, so she made my dad talk to them about how it makes her uncomfortable. It makes him uncomfortable too, lol. They told him they understood and that they'd stop doing it. But they didn't. I've also confronted them about it, but they always just laugh it off. They crossed the line completely 2 weeks ago. It was my birthday, and they had bought me a gift that they gave to my dad a few days in advance because they were going on vacation. When I opened the gift from them and read the birthday card, it said something that roughly translates to, "Now you're almost of age to give us those great grandkids your sister won't give us." As if my sister or I owe them anything. We don't owe them crap. My dad got really mad and called them on the phone. As soon as they picked up, I asked him if I could talk to them. He gave me the phone, and it was my grandma. She said, "Happy birthday, Cherimus. Did you like the gift?" I ignored what she said entirely and just started ranting and said, "You want to know something? I don't want kids. And if I ever do decide to have kids, I'm gonna adopt." She sounded completely shocked, as if it was completely natural for me to not want biological kids. She then proceeded to ask me if it was because I was gay. I told her to F off, and that it's messed up that they're so obsessed about great-grandchildren when my sisters and I, their grandchildren, are literally all still teenagers. Then I hung up and told my dad that if he was gonna call them back, he better not do it while I was there. I regret what I said to her, and that I haven't even thanked them for the gift yet. I'm just super embarrassed about how I talked to her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Her retort asking if you were gay as the reason for not having children deserves a fiery response in kind. I see why your father went no contact for a while, and maybe you should follow his lead. I'm thinking about it, but I don't want to make them feel bad. Especially because they're already really sad about missing out on so much of me and my sister's childhoods. And yes, the gay comment was really just the last straw for me. I'm thinking about it, but I don't want to make them feel bad. Then they should stop acting bad. There is a reason your dad went no contact, and you are seeing some of it now. Ask him about it, if it's not too touchy-feely subject. Not day-hole. I actually laughed when I read that part. Sometimes people just need to be told leave you alone with a few curse words. Glad I could make you laugh, haha. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, on one hand I feel like they had it coming, but on the other hand I might have overreacted. WTF? Your sister is 19 and they're pushing kids? You are 17 and they're pushing? That's weird. I get that they're from another time or whatevs, but you really should not even think about having kids right now. And even if you were older, it's annoying and none of their business. They can wish grandchildren if they want, but there's no way this kind of pushing is okay. I'm so baffled because you're so young. Not day-hole at all.